Well, Santa should have put me on the naughty list because I've been a bit of a bad boy when it comes to picking a game of the year. I cheated this year. It was a three-way tie, and I can do that because it's my channel. One of the perks of very few people watching this channel, I suppose, is I can set my own rules and I am beholden to no one. When it comes down to it, Silent Hill 2 is probably my game of the year. Three-way tie, though. The other games I'm going to talk about, I've already talked about one of them over on JayRPG, my other channel, which, hey, we're going into 2025. I want to grow that channel this year. A lot of you are not subscribed to that, and you might think, well, I'm not interested in that. But there's probably a topic I talk about there that you might be. Fallout, Kingdom Hearts, Stellar Blade, Final Fantasy, RPGs, JRPGs, all kinds of stuff over there. We have a fun time, and I'll leave that in the description and top comment, along with our other channels. Silent Hill 2, though, it was a remake of the original game by Konami, by Team Silent, and now it was Bloober Team working on it. Now, going into this, I think most people except for me expected this game to be terrible. I feel like when I talked about this game, when it was announced and when there was some footage shown, I was like, yeah, you know, this looks like it could be promising, and people were like, the combat looks really clunky, and I was like, yeah, but man, if you go back to the original, as much as I love it, there's some clunky combat. That was kind of one of the features of survival horror, especially at the time. So I was kind of open-minded, waiting to see, hoping it was good, but I wasn't going to delude myself if it was bad. And luckily, it was good. It was something that I think turned out very well. I know that there will be people's opinions on it. The original did not need a remake, is an opinion I see a lot of times, sure, but the original was also very inaccessible to most people without a modern gaming PC that they could emulate on. It has not been preserved well. Copies of the game on PS2 are expensive. Copies of the game on Xbox are not as good as the PS2 version, and the Silent Hill HD remaster set that came out on the PS3 and 360 generation was terrible. So it's not like it was super easy to go back and play the original. That said, the Silent Hill, I believe it's the Enhanced Edition mod on PC, is a great way to play it. So I still recommend you play the original if you get a way to play it, if you like the remake. They are two fundamentally different experiences with the same skeleton of a story. That said, there are a lot of additional things added in to the remake and some changes that I really like. I loved this game. I thought it was one of the best games of 2024, so I want to talk about that for a few minutes today. If you enjoy the video, be sure to smash that like button. Let's see if we can get over 100 likes, as a lot of the other YouTubers say, and we'll hop into the video. I do have a question of the day for you, though, which is there another Silent Hill game that you would like to see be remade? What would it be, and maybe by whom? There are rumors now that Bloober is actually working on some other Silent Hill remakes, but we don't know, so we'll kind of keep you posted. Also, let me know if you want to see more Silent Hill videos going into 2025 and what they would be. Now, Silent Hill 2 is a very emotional journey. It's one that resonates with me a lot. It's one I did a first looks on, the Is It Worth Buying? I did a full review. I did some fun videos talking about other things. It definitely captured my attention, from its atmosphere to its characters, all the way down to the graphical fidelity of it. I think it is a good looking game, even to the way the combat plays, where it's not a military shooter. It's not something where, you know, you are John Cod Van Damme, John Call of Duty Van Damme here, going in and taking out everybody immediately. I think it's a game that you can get good at that is, to me, not that hard. But that said, I think it is a game that is very, very scary. And I specify that because I know when it comes down to it, when I talked about it, I said that for me, this game was a little easier than the original. A lot of people were like, how could that be possible? I think I'm just not good at that original style of controls. I don't think I've ever been that good at it. I wasn't that good at it with the more tanky version of it, with classic Resident Evil or Tomb Raider or any of them. I love those style of games. I want classic survival horror to come back, but I don't think that my brain is great at it, and I think it's okay to admit that. For me, this was a bit of an easier experience to make it through, but that said, it didn't ever feel less scary to me either. There were times where each game shined in its own way. I don't like that when it comes to Silent Hill 2 Remake, it is only compared to the original version of it. I think it's fair to view it that way too, and I've talked about that before. But I also think that it needs to be viewed as a game, right? Not just as a how does it compare to the original version, but also how is this as a video game? And I think in both ways, it's very good. I don't think it is phenomenally superior to the original. There are things that this does better than the original, in my opinion, that I like a lot more. Things like more lore, more notes, a little bit more side activities to do, like some more side quest type side mission optional things, some additional endings. Actually, one of the additional endings is probably my favorite ending for Silent Hill 2 out of both versions of the game. And I would say too that it tied in well, another ending tied in well to Silent Hill 1 and 3, and they did some cult connections that the original game didn't have as much of. And I think that the voice acting in this game, to me, was even better than the original. That's just my opinion though. Like, I know that that one is a little bit more subjective and you're gonna have your own thoughts on that. Overall though, I loved this game. I thought that the world design was phenomenal. I loved the monster design, the way that some of them were a little bit updated, but for the most part, they maintained the spirit of who those characters were, what they represented, all of these different things. I love that they took some characters that were not as prominent in the original and did some new things with them while preserving what they were. I also love that there are so many Easter eggs in the world that show that Bloober understood the assignment. They understood what Silent Hill meant to people, and they understood why it meant that to different people. They understood what people loved about the world, even down to things like being able to go into the bowling alley and find the pizza box where Eddie had been eating the pizza in the original game. These things sound silly. They sound like just a little member berry type thing, but I thought that they added a lot to the world to make this a unique experience that does not replace the original Silent Hill 2. I hate when remakes try to replace the past. I think that's why a lot of people have problems with them. They feel like the thing that they grew up with or the thing that they enjoyed when they were younger is being replaced. This is probably how a lot of older people feel, you know, when things switch from mostly radio entertainment to television entertainment or movie entertainment, or people become more interested in video games or a new style of music pops up and they're like, those damn kids, they don't understand what we had back in the day. They're missing out. And there's some stuff in the world that I think absolutely, it's like, you know, I think we lost a little bit of that. It would be a total sidetrack conversation, but I do think that that is valid in some cases. But I think that mindset is very much one of the reasons why remakes get scoffed at and scorned so often by people, along with modern creators trying to turn it completely into their own thing and not honor the past. For example, if they want to completely censor something, or they want to completely change something to modern sensibilities. To me, I think that kind of stuff doesn't do a service to your game, even if your game is good, because people look at that and they say, oh, this is the nerfed version. Oh, this is the version for people who are easily offended, or oh, this is the version for people who are too lazy to pick up the original. They just think old thing bad. And unfortunately, there have been a lot of games made from that angle. Old thing bad, old thing only good if we make new. I didn't feel like that was the angle with Silent Hill 2. When I played through this remake, it was, yes, a remake of the original skeleton of the original 2. You know, it's got the same general story and things like that. But it has enough bells and whistles on top of that, and things that are different, from finding notes to finding things that tie into the time loop theory. I'm not saying it's canon. I'm just saying that there are references to those sorts of things, to tying into the Order, you know, the cult. All of these different things, I think, go to treat Silent Hill 2 Remake as an experience that you can play on its own. You absolutely can. You don't need to play the original, but I think is actually enhanced by knowledge of and appreciation for the original game. It's something where it didn't feel to me like Bloober Team came in and said, boy, Team Silent was a bunch of idiots. We can do what they did better. It didn't feel disrespectful in that way. And I specify that because a lot of games do. A lot of times someone comes in and they say, wow, well, there's some good ideas here, but whoever made this in the first place was a total loser. They had no idea what they were doing. They didn't bring their own je ne sais quoi. I can do my own thing right here now and make this mine. And it's not that they transform it into an additional experience, or they add some stuff in that's fun and cool. It's that they just take it, they slap the name on there of whatever the original was, and they want it to just be their product to push whatever their message or their ideas are. That stuff, it leaves people livid. It's one reason why remakes get so lambasted. For me, you have a soundtrack that pays homage to and respects the original, but adds additional things. It's not just ripped from the original, it's recomposed. You have voice acting that I would say, to me, is even more immersive than the original. I get the angle and the attitude of fans who say, well, you know, some of that cognitive dissonance of the original voice acting and the weirdness added to it for me. I get that. That's why I say it's a great additional experience. I found that the combat was just as fun to me in a different way. I like that old clunky combat, but I also love the way that Bloober did it. I love the mechanics and the world and the feel of it. It really felt like I was in Silent Hill 2. I don't think I've been so immersed in a horror game where it's like, oh geez, this is really freaking creepy, for many years, other than what Silent Hill 2 did. And they did it in a way where I knew the skeleton of the game of, okay, well, we're going to the hospital next, and then we're going here, and then we're going here. But the way they did it, where certain things were the same and certain things were different, I thought did such an amazing job to make it something that was great for both camps, people who had or had not played the original. It's a great introduction to Silent Hill as a franchise and as a world for people who haven't had a chance to get into it. It's a great return to form for the franchise for people who used to love it and felt like, wow, this really fell off. I love it to death, and that's why it's one of my games of the year. Probably the only game of the year that I'll make a video for on this channel. So if you want to see the other videos of my other games of the year, be sure to check out JayRPG. Like I said, trying to grow that this year. I also have my Let's Play channel down there. We have an anime focused channel, so all kinds of stuff too. And we have our own Fortnite code. Probably not a big crossover here, but I will say that if they could add James Sunderland with maybe a pillow back bling for Fortnite, if you know, you know. I'm just saying, take my money. DJAY123 is our Fortnite code. That code also works on our store, CosmoBunny.shop. Over there, it gets you 10% off your first purchase of our coasters, keychains, trays, and more. But we don't actually print pictures. We don't take things like that. What we do is we take paper from damaged books that stores locally are not able to sell. And what we do is we transform that into new art with coasters, keychains, trays, and more. We recycle the rest. We keep these things out of landfills, and we make something new for your home. I was gonna say our home. Unless you want me to move in, that might be a little awkward if I start referring to it that way. But I hope you enjoy. I hope you had a fantastic day. And as always, everyone, stay shway.